Okay, timers start, 5 minutes. So you're doing source 4 of your learning log today so that we can do that constructive response question tomorrow. So finish source 4. Okay, there's our timer. Our 5 minutes is up. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to finish your thoughts and typing. Then I want Zeke to read our first I can statement for today.
All right. Our I can statement for today is identify and explain 2 reasons why people of Louisiana didn't want to become part of America.
Okay, so we've been looking at sources all week. This was your 4th one. What are we going to do tomorrow with this? We're going to write a constructive response. Remember this rubric that we created yesterday? I'm going to have that typed up for you, and you're going to write your constructive response based on these 4 sources. So you should be able to identify and explain reasons why people of Louisiana were unhappy that they were about to become a part of America. Who can tell me, based on source 4, who can identify the problem here? Why are Americans upset, or why are people of Louisiana upset?
Well, they were there
Parker,
from
you can have
Spanish-speaking Creoles in the New Anglo-American country.
Okay, so what's one word we can use to describe they had a different what?
Language.
Different language or different culture. Okay. So people of Louisiana are upset because the people of America had a totally different culture. And what parts were different, did you say?
Their language.
Their language. What did people of Louisiana speak?
They spoke like French or Spanish.
French or Spanish. And what did Americans speak?
English.
English. Is there anything else you found there? Another reason that they would be upset? What are they going to lose their connection to? If they become a part of America, they're going to lose their connection to their home country of France. How can we explain that as a reason they would be upset? Why would losing their connection to France be upsetting to them?
That's where they're from. That's their culture.
That's their mother country.
Their mother country, that's their culture. Okay? Good. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to finish typing. You don't need to log out of your Chromebook, but you do need to close it. And I want your desk cleared of everything but your Chromebook and a sticky note. You'll see each have a sticky pad at your desk. The resource monitor needs to pass those out for me, please. Make sure it says saved up there at the top. If you didn't finish typing in, when should you finish? During ROAR. Tomorrow, we're going to use this to do our constructed response, and then I will have you submit it to me at the end of class tomorrow, okay? Now, you have a sticky note on your desk. Remember the 3, 2, 1 that we did the other day? What I want you to do to get ready for today, we're going to be doing review activities for the colonial period of Louisiana and the territorial period. So look over here at this board. You're going to choose which one you want to do 3 of, which one you want to make 2, and which one you want to do 1. So, treaties that impacted Louisiana. I want to think about any treaty that was signed that maybe forced Louisiana to switch hands from France to the Spanish or something like that. You would list treaties. Cultural influences on Louisiana. We've talked a lot about that. What are some things that are part of Louisiana's culture that came from those early settlement groups? And events that happened during the colonial and territorial periods. When we hear colonial, what should we think? What were we a colony of? What countries were we a colony of?
British colony.
Louisiana was a British colony?
Oh, no.
The French and Spanish. So anything that happened during the French period, during the Spanish period, or when we became an American territory. That's before we became a what? Before we became a state. Thank you, Britain. So, I might choose to do 3 cultural influences because I can think of those quickly. I might choose to do 2 events that happened during the colonial period, and I might choose to write 1 treaty that comes to mind. It doesn't matter which one you do 3 of, which one you do 2, and which one you do 1. Okay? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to have that done. Do the 3 on the front, and then you can flip it over and do 2 and 1 on the back. You don't have to do them in order. If you can think of one treaty right off the top of your head and you want to do that as your 1, turn it over to the back and write that. 2 minutes to write that. Go. You can discuss with your group if you need to help you think of something.
It's on LA, right? What? Like, that's like, is that a cultural influence? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Mississippi. Wait. Yeah. So, Mississippi River.
What'd you put for your 3? Okay, good. Good. Okay, finish up. And I want you to put that sticky note in the top right corner of your desk. If for some reason you didn't finish it, and as we're doing activities today, if you think of something, what can you go back and do? You can go back and add it to that paper. We're going to go back at the end and make sure that whatever you wrote down was correct. Okay? So your desk should be cleared of everything but your Chromebook and that sticky note. I passed out this sheet that's on the board up here. Give everybody one of those for me. Okay, so for this, it says that write as many events as you can remember about each period in Louisiana history. I'm going to give you 2 minutes with your group to think of as many things as you can that would fall under French rule, Spanish rule, and then when we became an American territory after the Louisiana Purchase. If you can't think of a specific event, but you can just think of people's names, you can write that. It doesn't have to be a long thing. If it's just one word that comes to your mind when you hear French, write it down. Okay? You don't have to go in order. If I can think of American territory first, I'm going to start there. Work with your group. I'm giving you 2 minutes to write as many events as you can. Go.
What was it called? It was called, like when their first colonies, they relied on something. It began with a P.
Yeah, the first colonies, they had to like trade with the Indians.
Proprietorship, yeah.
What are you coming up with?
I got a couple of them, but I ain't wrote them down yet.
What?
It was given to the Spanish. Napoleon bought it back. Napoleon bought it back. It's French. And American bought it back.
So who had it first?
French.
The French. Okay, so who came here first?
Iberville.
Okay.
No, Iberville came in.
They were together.
They was.
Okay. I want you to get out a textbook. I need you and your shoulder partner to share one. So one person between each shoulder group, get a textbook out and flip to that first sticky note. That's page 163, and that's going to be a French timeline. Okay, so when we look at this textbook, this timeline, these are events that were happening in Louisiana, and this is going to be French. And then this is what's happening around the world or within the British colonies that were that would eventually become America. So right now, I want you to look at this and tell me what are the top maybe 3 or 4 events that you think were the most important of the French period. And just write them down on that paper. You don't have to put them, you don't have to write the whole thing, just a note to yourself what that would be. Then go to page 189. It's already got a sticky note on it. And do the same thing with the Spanish period. And then go to page 215, and that's the same thing for the American period. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes with your group to look through those and find 2 or 3 important events of the French, Spanish, and American period. Go.
Wait, let's do Miro's proclamation of good government.
What else do you think is important?
Spanish located the site of the long abandoned Fort St. Louis.
Where do you see that?
17.
But in regards to the French, what's important? So we said proprietorship, so keep going down. What happened next? After it was a proprietorship, what did it become?
Bienville found New Orleans.
Okay, that's not what it became, but that is an important event. So Bienville found New Orleans. But after it was a proprietorship, when that failed, what did it become? Remember, we went from a proprietorship, and then what did and then what was Louisiana ruled by? Look at 1718.
Oh, the company in the Indies.
And so people invested their money, and then the colony wasn't making money, and what happened to
They
the,
lost all their money.
what was that called?
Mississippi bubble.
The Mississippi bubble. What happened to it?
It burst.
It burst.
But we could put a bunch of ones that are important because we could put Boston Massacre. We can do American Revolution begins, Declaration of Independence, Articles of Confederation. Oh, Treaty of Paris. There's one.
Okay. I just passed out a timeline to you. I want you to pass those out, resource monitor, make sure everybody has one. Let's see what this timeline has on it. Look at the important events that I thought went with the French, the Spanish, and the American rule, and see if you have any of those. Now everybody look at this timeline. This is not a parallel timeline. Look at my screen. We're not comparing what happened here to what happened here to what happened here. We just had to do 3 lines like this because I don't have a huge sheet of paper to write it on. Okay? So this goes in order of the events that happened. See how many you got that I put on my paper. Go.
We got Iberville, Bienville.
All right, Iberville.
We got the cruise ship. We did it. Yeah, we got the John Hall. We
Yeah.
didn't get the bubble. The Mississippi.
Yeah, the
I put it
Mississippi
down. That was the
bubble.
last thing I put down.
How many did y'all have?
2 for the first one.
2 for the first one. Which ones?
First one and last one.
Louisiana for France and French and Indian War started.
Okay. What y'all have for Spanish?
We have French and War, Indian War ended. We had the Uola one.
That's it, just 2.
Yeah. And we didn't get to the American yet.
Okay. Okay, right now I want you with your group to look at this timeline, and I want you to circle the events that are important when Louisiana switched hands. So we were a French colony, we became a Spanish colony, we went back to the French for a little bit, and then we became an American territory. I want you to circle those events that show Louisiana moving from country to country. Okay? So circle those on your paper.
Yeah, the treaty of Fountainbleu. Yeah, that is it.
Which one? Is that when we switched hands? Did we go back to, when did Louisiana go from a French colony to a Spanish colony? Which event on here tells us that? The Treaty of Fountainbleu, so circle that. Voices. Voices. Okay. We're going to go over it right now. You're going to see. Okay, so when did we become when did we go from French rule to Spanish rule? Which treaty? The Treaty of Fountainbleu. When was this signed? What was going on in Louisiana, in the Louisiana Territory?
1962, we were running out of money, couldn't support.
And what was going on? The French and Indian War. Great Britain and France are fighting, and France does not want the British to get Louisiana, so who do they give it to? Spain. And it was done in secret. When did Spain give it back to France? The Treaty of San Ildefonso. Why did the Spanish give it back to the French? Who wanted it? Napoleon. What was he trying to do?
He wanted to get Saint Dominique.
He
wanted a trading port for St. Dominique.
He needed Louisiana to supply St. Dominique with supplies, right? Because he was trying to build an empire in Europe, right? And then when did we go from France to an American territory? Louisiana Purchase.
One of the very first ones, 1682, be one, because like it transit, like I guess France claimed it because there was really nobody except for that, like Native American.
Oh, good. I like that. I didn't even think about that. So we can circle that first one because that's when France claimed it. So that's when it became a French territory. Good. I want you to keep this timeline on your desk. Resource monitor, pick up the page that you wrote on and put that in your group folder for me. So we're going to do some review stations to go over the colonial period through the territorial period. Zeke's going to read our second I can statement for us.
All right. Our second I can statement is I can compare a Louisiana timeline to an American and world timeline and explain how events around the world impacted Louisiana.
Okay, you can stop right there. So this group, these two groups right here will be working on the timeline station today. The rest of you will do it tomorrow, so you need to listen. Our big question is, how did events around the world and in America impact Louisiana? So you're going to use those timelines on those 3 pages that we just looked at. Plus I have 3 timelines in Fountainbleu, Unit 2. And you're going to work together to answer some questions. You'll see when you get this folder that you have 3 questions on the top. And it says you only have to pick 2 to answer. So you'll work with your group, decide which 2 you want to answer. If I pick A, what am I going to write in this blank right here? A. Then it says using your timeline, that one that we just went over, and page 189, you're going to answer this question. Make sure you explain, put in complete sentences. If you choose C, what am I going to put right here? C. C. Now, when you're finished with that, you're going to create some of your own questions that go with the timelines. So you can pick a timeline on page 189, and you can make a question from that, comparing it with the Louisiana timeline. You can use one of the timelines in Fountainbleu. You're going to do one $1 question. I have these question stems for us. Remember those that you can use to help you. Your $1 questions will be written on a green sticky note, and your $10 questions will be written on a pink. So it's one $1 and 2 $10. When you're ready to make those, Resource Monitor, come get 1 sticky note of each color. And notice how First Hour did it. We put it up here. You can use a piece of tape to tape it up just to ensure that it stays up there. Okay? If I finish making these questions and I've posted them right here, then the Resource Monitor will come up here. They'll pick a $1 question, go back to the desk, read it to the group, and you will evaluate it. And it tells you right here what to do. If it's a good question, what are you going to draw on the back? Smiley face. That's a good question. We're happy. That's good. If it's an okay question, it could be better. What are we going to put? Straight. And if it's a question that needs a lot of work, it's not very good, what are we going to put? A sad face. Don't draw it too big because other classes may pick this same question and need to evaluate it. This group didn't follow directions, but this is yellow 1. So when you make your question, put, like if I'm yellow 1, if I'm yellow, I'll put a Y, and then you're going to put a 2 because you're second hour. So Y2. That way, if somebody takes it in another class, they know exactly where to go put it back. Does that make sense? So when I pick this one up, it's yellow 1. On my paper, on the back, is where I'm going to answer it. So I would put Y1 and then write my answer. Don't write the question. Okay, that's why we put Y1, so when we need to go back to the question, we know where to find it. So when we're done with $1, come back, put it up here, and grab any $2 or $10 one that you want. Okay? So, and if another group has gone, if I had one for second hour, I could pick one from second hour if it was up there. Okay? That's your timeline station. Our second station will be cultural influences. Read that next I can statement for me, please, Zeke.
All right. I can identify and explain 3 cultural influences of early settlement groups on the development of Louisiana.
Have we talked about a lot of different groups that have come to settle in Louisiana in those early periods? Yes. Is our culture today influenced by those groups? Yes. I want you to think with your group when you're on this station, what are some of those things that we know that exist in Louisiana today in our culture because of these early settlement groups? You can make a list just from thinking about it. And then I have some websites in Fountainbleu for you to use. And so it tells you right up here that they're in Fountainbleu. And it says complete a list of influences you find and record on the sheet. So if my group came up with an influence first, then I can go to those websites and I can see how did that influence, how did they bring that influence over here? How does that, you can explain it there. You can use those websites to help you. You're going to have to write the ethnic group in the middle right here. So if we did Acadians or Cajuns, I would write that there, and then I would explain how it still influences us today. Okay, so how many do you have to have? 3. If you want to do more than 3, that's fine, but you have to have 3, and you have to cover at least 2 different ethnic groups. And you'll notice here, I put some a list of the ethnic groups that we've discussed for you. When you're finished with that, you're going to create either a vocaroo. So that means you're going to explain to the class those 3 cultural influences through that website for vocaroo where you just talk. Now, if you have 4 people in your group, how many voices do I need to hear on that vocaroo? 4. You can do a flip grid where you make a quick 1 minute, I think it's a 1 minute and 30-second video, and everybody has to participate. You can make a collage. I have some white cardstock up here. Everybody in the group would need a piece of paper, and you decide who's going to draw what, and then we will tape the 4 pieces together to make the collage, put it together. On the back, you would need to tell me how that, like whatever you drew a picture of, if you drew a picture of some type of food, I would have to, on the back, explain what ethnic group brought that and how does that influence us today, okay? You can do Google Slides. If there's something else that you want to do that you as a group think, oh, okay, I want to do a presentation in this form, call me over, ask me if it's okay, and if I like it, I'll let you do it, okay? And then the last group's going to be with me. We're going to do a review quiz. You're going to need Ian for this. We're going to do Becoming a State and Treaties. So you're going to have the paper. You'll have the treaties paper here, Becoming a State and Ian, and then you'll have a paper copy of the quiz. All right. If I can get it out. You do need to record it on here, but you also need to put it in OnCourse to get your grade, okay? When everybody's done, we'll go over this. It has an early finisher activity. If you finish, you can create your own questions that go with those sources that maybe you think I should add to that quiz. All right, so I have up here what groups are going to be doing what. So orange and blue will be doing the timeline, yellow and green, the cultural influences, and pink and purple over there will be doing the review quiz. So Resource Monitor, come see me to get your folder that you're going to be working on. Timeline, influences. Okay, so go ahead and get started on that. And I want the timekeeper to set the timer for 20 minutes on their Chromebook. 20 minutes. Actually, you set it for 19. I'm setting mine for 20. By the time you get it set, we'll be synced up. Okay, so you set 19 minutes. I've got 20 minutes. Go. Okay, so you have Becoming a State out. What page are we on? 26. So you use the treaties and Becoming a State. The Becoming a State questions are first. Okay. You need to be in OnCourse. So you have to record it on here, and you have to do and put it in OnCourse. Okay. What influences can you think off the top of your head? Just looking at that source, what's something you thought of?
Food. Seafood.
Food, like what? Seafood. What else? Jambalaya. So put, what ethnic group do you want to focus on with that? Okay, so what food specifically did the Acadians bring? What's Cajun food? Give me some examples. Look on that website. And you can put food for influence, but put specific foods, and then pick a specific ethnic group, and then explain how that influences us today. So how did it influence Louisiana? The one that was possible in Point Capee.
So we said that the slave revolt in St. Dominique began, so we thought that may influence the slave revolt in Point Capee.
So why? Explain why.
Because of like the slaves and stuff, they came from St. Dominique after the revolt to like Louisiana. They probably told them that.
Okay. And so what happened in St. Dominique with that revolt? What did the slaves accomplish?
They accomplished freedom and independence.
They accomplished their independence, right? They accomplished their freedom. So do you think that could influence a possible slave revolt here? Because what might they think?
They might think they can do the same.
They can do the same.
And gain their what?
Freedom.
Okay. So make sure you explain that in your answer.
They did go-go, red beans, and rice. What else?
We're gonna put down
They
the.
did shrimp and crawfish.
Alright, crawfish. We're gonna put crawfish.
Okay, so what kind of presentation are you going to create? Okay. So y'all are going to share it with each other and make sure you know who's going to do what and that everybody puts something on there. So what are you going to do in your Google slide? How are you going to, like, what are you going to put in the Google slide?
Well, we could put the influences. We could put all this and put some pictures so we can describe the.
Okay. And maybe have a title slide that says something.
When did the French and Indian War begin?
The French and Indian War began in. It began in
1756.
Okay. Did we only answer one? Wait, they only have one. Was that a good question?
In
We're gonna put a smiley face.
1750s.
Okay. Good.
Ooh, we could do something about how, like, even though the treaty was signed, like, you know, the peace treaty was signed, but then the war still happened.
Oh, yes, write that down, Sherman. Say, why did the British...
Wait, we could
Okay,
use
so-
about, we could use the word infer.
Okay.
Even though the
No, say,
even though the peace treaty infer why the war still happened.
Yeah, infer why the war still happened. No, the war still took place after the peace treaty was signed. All right. So it says create 3 questions to cover becoming a state and the treaties. You must have at least 1 multiple choice, 1 multiple select, and 1 technology enhanced. You know, like when I make those drag and drop type questions, I might put a chart and say drag this. When we do that kind of stuff, you need to make at least 1 of those types of questions. So it can be about the treaties or it can be about becoming a state. So pick which one you want to do and then you can start writing them on the back of here. So 1 multiple choice, 1 multiple select, and 1 technology enhanced.
I have to pick one.
You have to do 1 of each. But yes, pick 1 to start with. Which one are you going to start with?
I'll do the multiple choice first.
Okay. Voices. Voices. I need you to get to a stopping point at whatever it is you're working on. Log out of your Chromebook. And I need your desk cleared of everything but that sticky note. So any of these pages that we completed today, where do we need to put those? In our group folder for tomorrow. And log out of the Chromebook. Actually, you can keep the Chromebook closed on the desk, but you need your sticky notes. So Chromebook and a sticky note need to be the only 2 things I see on your desk. And I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to make that happen. 29, 28, put that back in there. 27, it's okay. 26, 25, 24, will you just put that under the desk? Put that in the group folder. Make sure your name's on it. Put your name on it. Is your name on it? Was your name on it?
We have to put this in the group folder.
Okay, good. You put your name on it? Put your name on your treaties and your test and put it in there. You got it? And put this in your under your desk. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, thank you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So tomorrow we're going to finish up on those stations. And right now I want you to look at this 3, 2, 1. If you did the review station over here, you need to be looking at the treaties that you wrote down. If you didn't write one down, what do you need to do right now? Write it down. This group and this group, you did influences. So make sure you have however many cultural influences written on your page. If you said 3, make sure you have 3. You should be able to do that by now. If you did the timeline, make sure you have as many events as you said you were going to have. If you said you were going to have 3, make sure you have 3. If you said you were going to have 2, make sure you have 2, and so forth. When you're finished, put it in your group folder and make sure it's stuck to something. Mari's going to come around and pick up group folders, and then you're dismissed. Yeah, I'll come around and get those. Thank you. Thank you.